All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special Thursday night live featuring some of the finest horse racing photographers around. We are so excited to be talking to Alex Evers, Eric Kalet, Cecilia Gustafson, and Nicole Marie. And guys, do you mind starting with you, Alex? Going around and saying, who you are, what you do, who you work for, all that good stuff.
I'm Alex Evers. I'm a photographer. I photograph horse racing amongst many other things. Within the industry, I work for Eclipse Sportswire. We shoot for Breeders' Cup amongst other brands. And outside that, I work for the Hong Kong Jockey Club doing marketing and advertising photos for them.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Eric.
All right. I'm Eric Kalet, and I do photography for the Pollock Report. And usually I am at all the NYRA tracks, pretty much in the Northeast. So parks, Monmouth Park, Laurel, Pimlico, Delaware Park. And I've been doing it for about 11 years now for the Pollock Report, almost since the inception of Pollock Report.
That's awesome. Cecilia, how about you? I think Cecilia's a little bit frozen, so Nicole, we'll pivot to you and come back to Cecilia.
Okay. I'm Nicole Marie. I was in Chicago doing track photography. Then I'm now down in South Florida doing the assignments for Boston, under Coglanese, and back in Chicago for a few days. So kind of a whirlwind.
Yeah, that's a lot of travel. Cecilia, can you hear us?
Yes. Really, you can hear me
it's
too.
Okay. It's after dark. It's PG-13.
Sorry, I'm having some problems.
Cecilia, can you tell us, who you are and how you, who you photograph for?
Yes, I shoot for horse photos. We shoot primarily for Thoroughbred Daily News, TDN, and Twin Spires. I am based in Southern California, so I shoot at Santa Anita Park and Del Mar. I travel to most of the big races, and I also do a lot of work at different farms and sales and stuff like that.
Awesome. And I'm so excited to talk about all of your different experiences. I'm throwing my phone because I think there's an echo. I want to ask everybody how they got started photographing horse racing. What brought you into this very sort of niche but very interesting part of the greater thoroughbred racing community? So does anybody want to kick us off?
Sure.
Awesome.
Sure. So I'll go first. So I've been doing photography probably since I was 11 or 12 years old. I started out in the film days back with the dinosaurs. But no, I just one day I was I went to Monmouth Park and I saw Bill Denver shooting and I was like, oh man, maybe I could work with Bill Denver one of these days, and then I practiced a lot, and I connected up with Ray Pollock. He used to be the senior editor of the Blood Horse, and so I connected up with him on Facebook. And Rachel Alexandra was about to run in the Haskell, and I said, I got to go to this race and I got to shoot it. And so I emailed Ray and I said, hey, you looking for a photographer to cover the race? And he agreed to it, and the rest is history. So.
Awesome. Nicole, how about you? How did you get started in this fine game of shooting horse racing?
So I grew up riding. I was in more eventing and whatnot, and then I moved to Chicago in 2009. And then I just sort of hung around the track, had wanted to see it, anything horse related that I could still grasp to. And I enjoyed it. I started working in the office of the track photographer, and then I started shooting more stakes days, started doing it full time, shooting with Blood Horse on even bigger race days like Derby, Kid Haskell. Just kept pushing forward. So it's horse related. I like it.
That, speaks to me a lot. Cecilia, how about you? How did you get started taking pictures of racehorses?
Okay, so
I started playing with cameras when I was a little kid, and I started riding when I was 4 or 5. I'm tall. My parents tried me in a lot of different sports, and nothing else was really working. And I wanted to be a gymnast, and at 5'9", that wasn't going to happen. So my mom put me on a horse, and I was hooked. And so I grew up riding hunter jumper, as any 4 or 5-year-old little girl is going to that loves animals, right? So I grew up riding hunter jumper, and my dad is from Gothenburg in Sweden, and he and his dad used to go to the trotting track there in Gothenburg, and so he always had a little bit of an affinity for horses and horse racing. So when I was young, my dad liked to watch the Kentucky Derby. So here I am, a little girl riding horses and winning colors, and Gary Stevens win the Derby, and I was hook, line, and sinker. Philly winning the Derby when I was 10 or 11. So, I'm a mess.
It's okay. Technical difficulties happen. That's part of the Thursday Night Live. We're not going to worry too much about it. Hey, there you go. All right, Cecilia, I hear you, by the way, on the Swedish horse racing. Show of hands if you have been watching like the Swedish harness racing in the mornings, like during lockdown, because I know I have. Is anyone else?
I'm not that degenerate.
Oh,
I'm pretty degenerate, but not that degenerate.
Eric, no?
No, I've caught some other ones, but during the lockdown, it's really been kind of, I mean, like if I watch it, I'm like, I want to be there.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is anybody else having hi Charles, thank you so much for joining us.
What's up, Chuck?
Alex, I still need an intro from you though before we just start into like a melee of talking about horse racing.
All right, well, my earliest memories are watching like the Derby, the 87 Derby with Ali Shiba, and I wanted to be a jockey. I'd go to the track. My grandmother made me jockey silks, and I'd go bother Chris McCarron every race and have him autograph my program. I couldn't even say his name. I called him Ms. McCarron. And then 89 Sunday Silence, I just loved that horse, and that was like where I cemented my love for horse racing, but got way too big to be a jockey. Played hockey growing up. But I always like looked at horses, followed horse racing. I was like sketching and drawing. My mom was kind of an artist on the side and did a lot of horse stuff. So years later, I was fortunate. I figured that's how I was able to transition into the photography side because I already had developed the eye as a young kid. But I started shooting in 2005, Hollywood Park Shoemaker Mile. I've been doing it ever since. It's the best sport. It's beautiful. It's fun to photograph too.
Awesome. Well, I just want you to know that, yeah, thank you, Dan. Dan's our producer today. Travis Wilson says, Alex, Saddlecloth Sunday.
What's going on, Travis?
And Saddlecloth Sunday is a good segue into the next conversation because, Alex, I know that's something you've really developed, and it's kind of a different view of horse racing. And I want to ask you guys sort of what do you look for when you're taking pictures, aside from when you're shooting, a classic win picture or something like that? Like, what do you always try to like strive to find when you're shooting horse racing?
I think you want to find like each horse is a unique individual and they have their own personalities. And like for the most part, if a fan who's not necessarily like there every day with the horses to see them run on TV, they necessarily don't get to see that. So I think it's important to show that the relationship between the groom and the horse and the jockey, the horse and the trainer, all that kind of builds up what each horse is and their own individual unique personalities. And I think that's kind of important to show in the photos.
Yeah,
I agree. I think you look for different angles, just different spots. Shooting from down below, try to get a little higher, maybe sometimes holding the camera up in the air, or it's just all sorts of ways to shooting from behind the horse, in front of the horse, off to the sides. So I think the Saddlecloth Sunday is a lot of fun because you can really focus in on it. The saddlecloths are great because there's a lot of races where there's so many different colors and patches and stuff, and and different logos and graphics, and so I enjoy Alex's Salad Cloth Sunday. I should do more of it. I'm bad because I
We're
don't
running out of pictures.
Oh,
It's cool because
love
anybody
question.
it's cool because anybody can do it. It doesn't matter if it's like a pro camera, an iPhone camera, you know, a old photo from back in the film days. It's like super inclusive. Like there is no skill level involved to participate. That's kind of what's
There's
cool
no
about it.
wrong way to take a picture at the racetrack. I mean, you can
That's
you
right.
can do it no matter what kind of gear you have. I'm a lot like you. When I was a kid, my parents, I have a vivid memory of there was like a massive blue children's like film camera that they gave me. And I think when like I was at the track as a kid, I took about 5,000 photos of my eyeball. Because I had
just
the
the original selfie macro.
Not even though, because it was like it was a film camera, so it was to my face, but I had the best time. And you know, it didn't work out, but it taught me that it was like still fun to go out there and shoot. And you know, you don't have to be a pro to take fun photos at the racetrack. But I do want to go to Lon Garfield Jr. here, who has a great question, which is, what's the best horse you guys have ever taken a photo of? Best or favorite? I'm willing to like, you know, say both.
I suppose it's in our lifetime, it's probably best to say American Pharaoh. You know, I don't know. Quite frankly, I don't know if we're going to see another one like him. I really don't. I think he was special, or he is special. And I just drove back from Kentucky this past week, actually, and I was listening to this documentary about Secretariat in the car. It's a long drive. And the things that they said about him and the way he made people feel, it really so reminded me of how we all felt about watching Pharaoh. And I wonder, and especially for Alex and I, who saw him so often here in Southern California, in some ways, sometimes I almost feel like we got immune to his greatness. And now that it's a few years removed and we're not around him every day, and I think he's going to go down as probably one of the all-time greats. So I would probably say, for me, Pharaoh.
Yeah.
I gotta go with Arrogant, and you know, RIP with yesterday. But I've seen a lot of horses in California since I was a kid, and that was the coolest horse I've ever seen. Fun to photograph. As a hockey player, like he had the missing tooth, which was incredible. It was really cool. Like a week before the Breeders' Cup, they were doing vet checks on him, and Jimmy kind of had him and brought him by, and I was just sitting there by myself with my cameras. And he brought him up, and he's like, "Do you mind clicking pictures in his face?" And I was like, "Not really." And they were just kind of getting him used to like all the noise, and the cameras really had him out. And I got a really cool picture of him with the missing tooth, and it was really fun to follow him around. And I thought his Pegasus World Cup was like one of the greatest performances I've seen from a racehorse. And he did it against Gunrunner and really good horses too. The great thing about Arrogant was he ran against so many good horses. He beat Kentucky Derby winners. He beat Breeders' Cup Classic winners. And he looked just like kind of like a patchwork horse too. Like he was like multiple types of horses. Like you put the body of like an AP Indy with the neck down, and he had the unbridled song coloring and the unique face. Like horses like that are really, to me, were really fun to photograph too.
Yeah, I wasn't there, but watching his Dubai World Cup when he, you know, didn't really come out of the gate and then won it for fun anyways. And I remember watching that on my computer with my jaw on the floor, just being like, oh, all right.
Well, he had every excuse not to run. Like there's so many horses that have adversity and then they just give up. And he was like, no, it's okay. We'll figure it out. Oh, dirt in my face. I don't like it. I'll go to the outside.
Yeah.
Inspiring the performance.
Eric?
Nicole,
go.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Go ahead, Nicole. Go for it.
Thanks. So I was going to, just being in Illinois and Chicago, I was a really big fan of Pizza Man. Also just Floron in general, starting out really just not as a nobody, but like, you know, just a local. Like we were so used to seeing him. We talked to him all the time, and to see him have so much success. And then with Gunrunner, it's just awesome. Doug is just really great, and Flo, like wherever we see him, is just very, very kind. And so I think not only do I love those horses personally, also seeing him like on them just made it even better, and like winning those big races.
Oh, the Pizza Man. Side note, I want to know from you how sick you got of all the Pizza Man puns that got attached to your photos.
It can be a little much.
I was as guilty as anyone else. I was like,
Yeah,
this isn't cheesy when the Pizza Man lives. And I was like, I hate myself for that.
it's fine. It's fine.
All right, Eric, who's the best one you think you've shot?
Well, I get so torn about these things, but I'm going to second Cecilia with American Pharaoh. I mean, just an incredible horse. I mean, I still remember back to, and listen, I've been into horse racing since the early '90s, so I've gotten to see a handful of tries, of Belmont, of Triple Crown attempts at Belmont, and being able to be a photographer down at the finish line for American Pharaoh. But the couple of days before when he arrived, we went in the morning and got his final work, his final gallops. And I remember the day before just watching his final gallop, even through the cameras, it was just the stride was incredible. I mean, it was just so effortless. And it was just like, I was just, man, this horse, I don't see how he can lose. And, I think I went into the Belmont probably the most confident that I've ever gone into a Belmont Stakes Triple Crown attempt, and by gosh, I'll tell you the next day, man, at Belmont, man, when he crossed the finish line, there were tears coming down my face, and it was a great moment. Really, really cool moment.
I cried like a baby, and I'm not ashamed of it. And I want to know if you had the same experience. Hi. Sorry. There's a doggy. I had an experience. I love him. When I had the camera to my face, I can't hear. Like I like everything goes completely silent because I focus on, pardon the pun, the picture I'm about to take. So for me, when American Pharaoh crossed that finish line, he did it in silence. And then when I put my camera down, the wall of sound hit me, and it was almost as moving as the horse himself winning, just to be all of a sudden hit with that joy. Does anyone else have that happen, or is my brain broken?
I'll tell you. I mean, and let me compare it to the Kentucky Derby, because just the wall of sound that comes out of that grandstand when those horses come out on the track and they play My Old Kentucky Home, it's just beautiful. And it just flows over you, and you could just feel it. You could feel the electricity and the energy in the air. When American Pharaoh crossed the finish line at Belmont, I could hear the crowd, and I kind of got like you, Penelope, like where I tuned it out, but at the same time, I could still feel the energy and feel the excitement and feel how the roar of the crowd. And I think it might have been the loudest definitely the loudest I've ever heard Belmont, but I think it might have rivaled Kentucky, might have rivaled the Derby, because that was just 37 years in the making. So, but yeah, and it's just the noise. It was incredible.
Yeah, that was awesome. We have some really good questions from some more fans, so I want to jump to that. Karina Sirio says, what do you look for in an assistant? I don't have one. Does anyone here have an assistant? Or no, I'm serious, because it's very much an individual gig.
Well, I'm looking at her last name.
Oh,
well, that's I would say the ones that I have, I look for ones that have speed, that are quick. Actually, the joke is with Karina at Belmont, we had a battery die on a remote camera, and it was like, I think it was like the 300 millimeter. It was some like one of the more important cameras that didn't have like a backup. Like it was just kind of like a one and done. And then she ended up having to run across the track into the media room at Belmont while Keith is watching. So I'm standing there with Keith. She gets the battery and runs back, and the tractors are coming. And both of us are like yelling. We're like, "Come on!" Like we're rooting on a horse. Like, like come on! Like, we need this battery. And she runs, beats the tractors, and dives under the rail. So
nice.
I would say speed is it's like a nice horse. You want it speed, the most important things.
And Karina, I am so sorry. I was so focused on reading your question that it didn't go through my brain. So hi, thanks for joining us. Travis Wilson has a question I was actually going to ask the group, which I love. What is your favorite track to photograph?
Man, you're getting us with all these great questions. I'm gonna just
I think I have to say
throw
Santa
in there.
Anita personally. I mean, I know it's my home, but it's the backdrop is beautiful. Del Mar's great. The lighting can be tricky, so it's not necessarily my favorite track to shoot at. Santa Anita probably. I never the mountains. It never gets old. It's like my church.
Santa Anita has the mountains, and then the other thing I love about it is the sunrises you sometimes get there, where you get that incredible like golden sky, and it's just it looks made up. It looks completely made up. It's amazing.
Yeah, it looks like a painting.
Yeah. Eric, you I think I know which one you're gonna say.
What do you think? What do you think? I'm gonna take a guess.
I think it's 1 to 9 Saratoga.
Sarah, yep. So I mean, Belmont. I love Belmont. It's my favorite of all of them. I mean, I'd love to go to Saratoga too, but Belmont's my favorite. It always has been. Aqueduct too. I mean, listen, Aqueduct, the light, you can't beat the lighting for pure pictures of racing itself. You can't beat the lighting in Aqueduct, but Saratoga is kind of along the lines of Santa Anita, where you just have the scenic backdrops and all the, just the beauty of that track, and that it still looks somewhat like it did 100 years ago or 150 years ago. The grandstand really hasn't changed much, and also the sunrises.
Yeah.
You can go to Oklahoma, and they're just those beautiful sunrises.
Yeah. I do want to say before we move on to Nicole and Alex, off stage in the production booth, Dan is just fist pumping that you even mentioned Aqueduct as one of your possibles for favorite tracks.
Yeah.
Payola.
Well, Aqueduct was the first track I went to live for live racing, and so to be able to photograph there. Yep. So the big A. I got to give the big A its props. I mean, it's a work of art. The big A.
Literally, it has all the murals now. It is a work of art.
Yeah.
All right, Nicole, are you contractually bound to mention any certain tracks?
I mean, I think home base wise, like Arlington is stunning despite, politically what's going on with it. I felt spoiled while I was there. Hawthorne, it has the best lighting. I loved it. So, I mean, you could always find creative lighting aspects. And so, I would get some really creative ideas. Outside of Illinois, I actually went to Monmouth for the Haskell first time when Good Magic won, and I loved that track. I would love to go back. It was really fun. Everyone was really great. And then Kentucky Downs, because it's so quirky and just free range, and was like, okay, make any photo you want.
Yeah, I've never done Kentucky Downs. I would love to. I heard it's beautiful with like the rolling hill.
Yeah, it's a really unique opportunity, like to get some different angles.
Evers?
Happy Valley is my favorite track in the world, just because it's it's in Hong Kong. It's like a stadium. Like the fans are like right on the racing surface, and like especially during COVID, like where you can't crowd and touch anything. Like the fans line up like before the race, 4, 5, 6 rows deep, and then they high five the winning jockey. So if like a favorite wins and the best shot, like Joe Moreira comes back, he's reaching in the crowd and he's high fiving people. And especially during times like this, I appreciate that more. Like we would go and like grab the widest limbs we could get, climb in with the crowd, try not to spill beers, and then reach in and grab. So I've got some shots where like the riders have reached in and like grabbed the camera and like smacked it. It's the coolest track. Hard to make photos at, but fun.
Yeah, it's rad, man. I'm so happy that you're shooting there because you take some really cool images. So you've told us your favorites. I want to know if you have a track that you are like bucket list. I would love to shoot that one day.
Royal Ascot. I'm just going to leave it at that. Royal Ascot, no doubt about it.
Cecilia, you shot Royal Ascot, didn't you?
Cecilia, you shot Royal Ascot. I was going to say, for me, bucket list always has been Royal Ascot, whether to shoot, whether to go as a fan, and anything. I mean, it's been on my bucket list since I was 10 years old, and I went and shot there last year, and I'm in love. I loved it. So now do I have a bucket list? I mean, the only problem with achieving something on your bucket list is then you're left going, okay, but there should be something on it now too. So maybe long shot. Maybe long shot, or I'd like to go to the Kura as well.
Especially now that they just redid it.
Pardon?
Now that they just redid the Kura too, I'd love to see it.
Yeah. So, because I think here in the U.S., about the only track I haven't shot at or been to, I've never been to Woodbine.
It's so fun. I love Woodbine.
Love Woodbine.
So for me, probably the Kura.
All right. Well, just plan on like once COVID-19 is behind us, we're going to Woodbine. You're gonna love it.
Okay, I'll be happy to go to Santa Anita at this point, but okay.
Okay, amen. Yeah. Anyway, like
Cecilia stole my answer. That was the bucket list to actually just be able to take pictures this year.
Yeah. Well, the year's not over. Alex, we just need to get you on the roof of a building near Santa. Go up to the top of the mountain with a giant 600 or bigger and see what you can do. Come on.
I don't know. I feel like security would be watching me up there too. I don't know. No drones, no nothing.
Yeah,
I was gonna draw a picture, but
around the track about 40 times trying to find somewhere on the outskirts to put a ladder. There's nowhere.
Yeah.
I think a bucket list track is I want to photograph the Japanese Derby and do remotes in Japan since no one's allowed to do it. So that's on my agenda.
That would be cool. I can't remember the name of the day. It's in September in Ireland when they do the beach racing. I really want to get over it. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Oh, that's right.
Yes.
That's a good answer. Yeah, I want to do that. I also, this is off the map, and I don't even know if it counts as like a horse race, but I'd love to shoot the Palio in Italy.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
That is
nuts.
That is on my agenda.
Yeah.
Umberto Risfoli's told me all about it and like the whole celebration and how it is. And like, if you were married to somebody from another town, like you don't talk to your wife for the week of the race. And you don't even have to be on the horse to win the race. If your horse finishes first from your town, you win.
Wow.
It's
so
insane.
It's like a harder core version of Rachel versus Zenyatta.
They bring the horses from each individual village into the church, and they pray with the horse and the rider in the church, and the whole town comes in to do it. It's wild. Like that's another bucket list thing to photograph as well.
Yeah.
I've also looked into it.
Now, one of the things I would love to do is go around, and Nicole, I know you don't have your hard drive with you, so I'm so sorry, but I do want to share some of the group's favorite photographs. And if you could just talk me through why you love them, where you took them, what the story is, that would be great. So Dan, voice to God, if you could cue up Eric.
All right. So this is one of my absolute favorites. And this is Saratoga. This is Oklahoma training. And it was actually there with I met up with Scott Serio and
said that Irish champions, you go to Leopardstown and Kura on back-to-back days, make it a week, and you get Leighton Beach races.
Yes.
There you go,
That's it.
So we were scouting out. We were looking for just the right shot, and I figured let me wander over by the training gate, and I started looking through my camera. I'm like, wow, this is it right here. And the sun was coming up, and we still had fog down on the ground, and I just there it is. I mean, I can't say really any more about it. It's just the sun, the fog, the gate, and the two horses galloping off into the distance, on their training routine, and I knew I had a really good sunrise shot with that gate, and I think Scott and I also we had an opportunity to at Keeneland where we had that a moon shot right over the gate, and Scott could tell you one of these days how I spotted it out, and he was like, "Oh, I see what you're looking at," and then he shot it too. But this is just one of those shots where you're looking through the camera, and you're like, there it is. There's the shot.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, the framing of this is so remarkable, just to be able to catch the horses, the sun, everything within that one small panel of the starting gate. And it really it's a goal. It's the training for the goal. It's a lovely photograph.
Thank you.
Next slide, please, Dan. There we go. Cecilia, this is such a cool shot. Can you talk me through it?
All right, I'm up. This photo was, ironically, as I was saying before, about Pharaoh. This is the year American Pharaoh won the Kentucky Derby. I was out in the clubhouse turn shooting that iconic shot of when the horses come past the finish line for the first time and into the turn, and you see the spire, the twin spires behind. And for the first couple of years that I shot the Derby, I was the newest or the newest member of the horse photos team, so I got the clubhouse turn, and I wasn't overly happy about it, but I owned it. I made it mine, and every year I kept trying to make it better. And this year with the Derby, or that year with the Derby with Pharaoh, some years I moved, some years I didn't. Anyway, I stayed out there. So after, I didn't move. And they came into, so by now he's won, he's crossed the finish line. I hadn't moved a muscle, and they were coming at me. And I saw that the jockey there in the pink silks, for anyone who isn't familiar with it, that's Gary Stevens on firing line, who ran second. And I saw him begin to reach over, or I saw him and Victor Espinoza on Pharaoh talking to each other, and I saw him begin to, put his arm out to fist bump Victor, and I thought, oh my God, I'm never going to see a moment like this again in my life. And then I thought to myself, oh my gosh, Cecilia, don't screw it up. No, I'm serious, because when you've got all these moving parts, to get your camera to focus right on their fists, and they were still a good 150 feet away from me, so to make sure my camera could focus right on their fists before they stopped doing it, I probably took 5 frames, and in that moment I probably took 5 frames, and I'd say only 2 of them might have actually had their fists touching, and the others, in this one, I got it. And then sure enough, the frame immediately after this one, because they're moving and bouncing, right? My camera back focused onto the crowd.
Oh,
so, wow. That's what I'm saying. It was hard. I mean, it was hard. Yeah. And because they're moving and I'm not moving exactly the way they are, right? So anyway, my point, I submitted this one for the show because I thought it was a good example of, I wasn't overly happy to be out there shooting that spot from that spot, but this is probably the best photograph I've ever taken, and certainly the most unique. And you don't see this kind of stuff. I mean, think about it. Most people in the grandstand probably didn't even see this happen because it was already past them, Yeah. And so I thought it was a good example of, you can make a photo. You can, moments happen everywhere. You may not have the right camera with you. You might have the body. You might not have the right lens. You might not feel like you're in the right spot. But the photo's always there. You just have to search for the opportunity.
Yeah, so, definitely. Yeah. That's. I mean, that is a photo I haven't seen before from another angle. It's right place, right time, and you nailed it. Because I also know how easy it is for your autofocus to just pop out and be like, oh, look, white pants, mine, like,
or crowd behind them.
Yeah. Yeah. Travis Wilson says 1 in a million. No, that is awesome. And again, it's the different angle, and that's such an important thing to keep in mind, because when you can tell a different story about the same event, it's such a cool thing to be able to share.
Oh,
Wrong way, Dan. There you go. Alex.
So this is a shot from my first ever trip to Hong Kong. I included it because Penelope was kind of Penelope and Dan were kind of instrumental on like coercing me to submit the application because I wasn't going to go originally, and I ended up going with their encouragements and the help of Pat Cummings. And I didn't have a client the first time, and I didn't know much about Hong Kong racing at all at the time. And this horse, Beauty Generation, wins long shot with their local rider Derek Lung, and the cool thing there is after the race is they present the horse for the photographers to take pictures on like the United States. So this is like a photo op, and they weigh the jockey out, they do all their stuff, and they bring them back. And it's just about the horse and the rider presenting them to the photographers and then to all the fans before the winner's circle. And this is the moment Derek just gets out there and grabbed the horse and kissed him. But to me, it was like the photo that got me to go to Hong Kong, got me my assignments there, and built the relationship with the club. And I think it goes to show like what horses mean to different people. And we kind of talked about your favorite horses earlier and stuff like that. But he's a special horse to me, and this is a special photo. And even though Derek doesn't ride him anymore, and he kind of lost that mount to the leading rider, it's still a special moment to me. And I have this hanging in my office right now. Look at it every day. And it just reminds me of the love for the horse is the most important thing in the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way he's looking at Beauty Generation, it's just it's love, it's appreciation, it's the way I think a lot of us feel even when we're just watching our favorite horses.
Yep.
Like even if you can't get on them, even if you're not, unfortunately not the one riding in Hong Kong, as I think we all wanted to, but all were too tall to do.
Derek's tall. He's 5'8". He's 5'8". He's up there.
I'm taller than that. And I can just tell you that my love of Ben and Jerry's is going to ever preclude me from getting onto the back of a thoroughbred racehorse and competing. I've made a commitment, and unfortunately, it's not to the jockey side. But yeah, this is absolutely beautiful. And what I love is you've really captured, like the movement of the colors. Just is really, really cool. Obviously, his blinkers match the silks, which I always love to see, but just it's so cohesive as a photograph too.
Thank you.
So I do have a question I'd love to hear from all of you, which is if somebody is interested in breaking into horse racing photography, if they want to get involved, what's your advice for people to get started?
So I just kind of, when I got to Illinois, just showed up at the track and talked to the track photographer and just, learn more, and offered to start helping out, or just, can I shoot for fun, and just kind of making friends with people. And then when we started looking for other people too, to help on like stakes days, it was a lot of like, just come up and talk to me, and like I'm happy to show people, what to do, and like I'll get the hang of it, and yada yada. But I think that was kind of the biggest way that I got into, was just talking to people. Obviously, there's a lot of people now on Twitter, but before that, I just went to the tracks here and just started asking to shoot and go from there.
Yeah.
I'd say just practice, just like anything else. Practice. Get down to the track, to your local track, and just go shoot from different parts of the grandstand. I mean, not obviously, not everybody can get credentialed, so you're not going to be able to go everywhere on the track, but at least you can try from places that you can access once they, of course, in the environment that we're in right now, once they do open things back up for fans to go back to the racetrack, just look for different spots and different angles, and networking. I think networking is a big part of it too. You practice and get the, some of those really good shots, and then kind of a show and tell, network and go like Nicole did, maybe go to the track photographer and ask for the opportunity. Bring a couple of pictures with you, or show them on your phone, or bring a portfolio and just say, hey, I'd like to see if you have any opportunities for me to give this a try.
Yeah. Cecilia, I'd love to hear from you because you come at this from the perspective of not just a racing photographer, but you also do like confirmation photos for sales. You go out to farms and take pictures there too, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I pretty much agree with just about everything Eric said. Practice, practice, practice. I feel like I've been taking confirmation photos for 10 years now, and I still every year go, oh, I just discovered a little way to tweak it. I wish I figured that out years ago. So practice, practice, practice. It maybe never even makes perfect because we can always learn and continue learning and continue improving. So basically everything Eric said, and then add, we never all know it all. There's always something to learn, and taking confirmation photos at farms and learning about the horse. I think actually I'm going to add, whether I'm doing photos at farms or sales, I do think having an understanding of the horse and horse anatomy helps immensely. While it is a sport, they're animals. And, we're not, how do I describe it? It's not a football that never changes. It's not a baseball bat that never changes. They're horses, they're animals, they're living beings. You can have just like with the human component, you take a picture of a horse and, their ear is wonky. It ruins the whole picture in my opinion. So, they're catching the spirit of their eye. I don't know if I'm making any, but I do think, having a love for the horse, understanding the horse, understanding their anatomy, I think that helps, particularly on working in the realm that I do, with farms and sales and whatnot. If you don't understand the horse, you're not going to be able to take a confirmation photo of them. If you don't understand what it should look like, what they should look like, then you're just not going to take a good picture of them.
yeah, exactly. You have to help them find their angles. Like Ariana Grande, only she couldn't shoot from like.
I think workshops are also another great way to kind of do it, where you can see like different people's perspectives, work with different photographers, but also work with students, and you kind of see this amazing view and perspective on horse racing or other different fields, and you can then bring that back to your own line of shooting, your own line of work. It's an absolutely brilliant way to expand your portfolio, get access if you don't have access to credentialing and other things, and learn a safe way to be around the horses, shoot the horses from the inside out, and then apply it to your own business. We've had a couple photographers that have taken some workshops with us that have taken what they've learned with the horses and the safety and everything and brought it to other disciplines in horse sports like cow horse, etc. And it's great to see people grow their businesses inside the equine sport photography world.
Yeah, definitely. And Alex, I'm so glad you brought that up because I was going to say that Eclipse Sportswire does run photography workshops when it's a normal year, obviously, and there's access to the racing.
We had one planned for Keeneland this fall. That was going to be exciting.
How can people stay up to date on whether or not that? Oh, hi,
Chino.
How can people stay up to date to find out if and when that'll be back when we go back to a fan environment?
Twitter, Instagram, social media. As soon as we find anything out, the sooner the better. We were planning on actually putting out the message 6 months before this time, so we had time to get flights, hotels, and kind of figure things out earlier than later. So social is probably the best place.
Okay. Very cool. And speaking of social, can everybody please share where people can follow you to see some of your incredible images? Evers, I'll start with you. We'll go around the rectangle, I guess.
Yeah. Cinco box.
Yeah.
I'm at Evers on Twitter, Instagram, etc. Evers at Evers Photo. Email. You can email me questions, DM, etc. I try to get back to everybody.
Yeah, I'm the same. So it's my first and last name together. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So feel free to reach out if you want to message me or email me. Not a problem. So you can find me pretty easily on any of the platforms.
I'm at. Oh, sorry, Cecilia. Oh, okay.
I'll go.
Yeah.
My personal is my photography is at Cecilia G Photo, both for Twitter and at Instagram. And then Horse Photos, who I work for, we're at horsephotos.com, both on Instagram and Twitter.
And just the internet in general.
Horsephotos.com, yeah.
I'm on Twitter, Instagram, in Marie Photo. I kind of dropped off Twitter to play Animal Crossing during the pandemic. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a wise decision.
That's a good move. Good move.
But I'll eventually get back to it shortly. I still check it, so I respond to messages, emails, all that. So I've got it listed.
Wait, I love that. Animal Crossing, I haven't played. I don't have a Nintendo, which seems like it was a grave oversight before this pandemic, but I didn't know, man. I just didn't know. So I've been reading a lot. But yeah, I have not been on the Twitter machine. I have not been on Instagram.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing the best they can.
Yeah.
So final question. What is everybody most excited for when you get back to shooting races? Like what are you craving? Like what's the one thing that you think about every day and you're like, but first day at the track, this is what I'm like, I'm going for it.
Wow. I just the beauty of the horse and racing and the power and the speed and just seeing them come down the track and coming at you and I'm just excited to see who's going to be the next superstar, especially in the 3-year-old world. We're on a different time track this year. The cadence of everything is totally different. I mean, when you have a year like this where the Kentucky Derby's in September, the Preakness is in October, and the Belmont Stakes is in 2.5-3 weeks away from right now. But really, the Belmont should be this weekend.
Yeah.
And yet it's not going to be for another 2 or 3 weeks. And we really should be in some way, shape, or form. It really should be traditionally, I guess, for the last 50 years or so. Because traditionally, I guess for that last half century, it's always been Derby, Preakness, Belmont, and so, thinking about the last 11 years that I've been involved in it, I'm kind of so used to going to the Derby and seeing that special horse win, and then what he does in the Preakness, and if he passes that test, and then he gets to the Belmont, or if it all gets just thrown up into chaos, and the Derby horse bombs out in the Preakness, and the Preakness horse wins, and the Preakness bombs out in the Belmont, or whatever the case is. So just the action. I'm excited.
Hi, Ryan from Chicago. Miss you too.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Yes.
It's not at all actually what Penelope asked, but it's what Eric just said. I've been wondering, does an asterisk go next to the horse's name if the horse this year wins the Belmont Derby? And
so is a Triple Crown winner this year a real Triple Crown winner?
Right. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
I say yes.
Yeah.
I say if you win the 3 races, I mean, no matter what order they run them in, it's still the Triple Crown is the Belmont, the Derby, and the Preakness. So I think you have to give it to them.
You have to run 12 furlongs to win the Triple Crown. You have to be able to win at 12 furlongs. So it's an asterisk.
Yeah,
it's like Barry Bonds' home run record. Doesn't count.
True. I mean, it's so true. It's so tough because
is that a question or a statement?
My thing is it does get the asterisk, but it's not the same, but it's still really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're going to have to
Would
go from the
Charlatan get a
Belmont,
double asterisk?
I mean, they're going to have to go from the Belmont. So from June, you got 2 months, a 2 month space between the Belmont and the Derby, and then another almost month between the Derby and the Preakness.
Oh, wait a minute. That's right. The
So
Belmont
I
isn't a
think
month.
if somebody's able
Month and
to
a half this year,
accomplish
is
it, I think in of its own right, I think that's a huge. But I think asterisk or not, it's still a pretty darn good accomplishment.
If it was a Triple Crown year for a lot of other horses in the past, there would be like a gazillion Triple Crown winners under this pretense. Like Arrogate would have been a Triple Crown winner. Sunday Silence probably would have been a Triple Crown. A bunch of horses got by the 12 furlong. Smarty Jones, even though I was a Smarty Jones guy.
Yeah,
That 12 furlongs is brutal. And you have to have the rider who can navigate the oval too, because you can't just go there and ride it. Like Espinoza had 3 chances at it. Most guys only get, one go.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like that's such a good question, Cecilia, and I do not have a good answer.
No, I know. I mean, I don't think anybody has a good answer. I just
Right.
figure it's an interesting debate,
There's no wrong. I mean, there's no wrong answer to it, but there's no right answer
Right.
to it. It's gonna be the Corona. If somebody wins a Triple Crown, it's gonna be the Corona Crown.
I like it. It's title
I
and
almost
translation at
feel
the same
like
time.
this is such a bizarre year in general in life that this is going to happen.
Yeah. So wait, we have one last question from Mason. Rail fanning, which is a great horse name.
Hi, Mason.
Who is your favorite horse of all time? I know we said who our favorite horse to photograph was. Adriana Lynch, hi, my darling daughter, wants Corona Crown on a shirt. So trademark that.
Yeah.
Whoever said it, it's time to make some money. But yeah, who is your favorite horse of all time? I'll start. Mine's Wise Dan. Go.
Sunday Silence.
I'm gonna be. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be the difficult one here. I mean, Holy Bull, Silver Charm, American Pharaoh, and Justify. I got to put
That's
in
like 5 horses, bud. You have a budget. This is a $2 win bet, dude. You don't hit the all button.
All right. If I'm really pigeonholed into it, I'm gonna stick with the bull, with Holy Bull.
Respect. That's the right answer, Eric.
All right, if I'm going to go with one, Lava Man.
Lava Man's a good answer.
Lava Man.
That was my first handicap horse I got to photograph.
Yep, Lava.
I followed Barbaro pretty closely, like when I was in high school, and I think even though that didn't turn out, best way, I think that still kind of piqued my interest from other horse eventing and whatnot, and then transitioning into like following racing more.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, those are all really good answers. And every time Charles Toller says Secretariat, I am old.
I wish I got to see him run. I would have had a better opinion about it if I had seen him run.
You can't say old. We're all jealous.
You can't beat Secretary as an answer. I mean, if somebody said Man of War, that right there.
Yeah, my dad's
Secretary is like the trump card in a game or something.
Yeah, I mean, I know we miss you too, or I do. I can't speak for everyone else, but I assume they miss you. Amazing. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing I love about this sport and being able to photograph it, because to me, photography in horse racing provides, as cheesy as it sounds, a different perspective on these horses, and your job is to convey their personalities and their drive and their hope. So the one thing I'm so excited about for when racing, is really like opening up for fans and media again on a large scale, is to meet my next horse that I'm going to fall head over heels in love with, and to be able to take images of that horse that I love and, am proud of and will cherish, because, the thing I love too is sometimes it is a Wise Dan or a Zenyatta or a Rachel or an Arrogate or a Chrome. And sometimes it is, yes. you know, it's a horse that's on the undercard who maybe is a maiden or in a claiming race and isn't a fan favorite on a large scale, but you fall in love with that horse because they just have that little quirk that you took an image of, and all of a sudden, you know, he's your heart horse. And I love that. And I'm so excited to have those opportunities again. Also, I just miss feeding horses peppermints. Like, I'm going to be honest, I miss that a lot.
Definitely.
Anybody who photographs on the line knows that I wear a fanny pack that is filled with nothing but camera batteries and peppermints for the ponies.
Yep.
Like an adult.
Free peppermints.
Yeah. Always. You never know. You guys, I want to thank you all so much for joining us for Thursday Night Live. This was so much fun. I loved, you know, seeing your images, talking about making images, and thank you for, you know, showing up. Stay healthy, and I hope I get to see you guys really soon at the races.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you guys. I miss you.